Okay, I believe we are live on LinkedIn. Hello, I'm Emily Richards. I'm the founder of the Stickman consultancy. And this evening I am joined by Rebecca Siriwardene from Chandlings Prep School, a leading independent day school for boys and girls in just outside Oxford in the Oxfordshire countryside. So Rebecca, welcome. It's so nice
Good
to have you.
evening. It's nice to be here on a Sunday, not Sunday evening, on a Wednesday evening.
Yeah, yeah. So you just to I mean, you can do your own introduction, but you're an experienced marketeer with a breadth of experience, aren't you? Sort of got a commercial background with
Yeah.
working in large organizations plus SMEs. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, gosh, yeah, I have kind of moved around. So my background, like you said, you've been doing your research, Emily. So I began actually in airlines, so at Cathay Pacific and then American Airlines, more on the kind of corporate communication side. So in particular, I was involved in 9/11, which was a fairly interesting and quite stressful
Gosh.
time, but learned a lot. So I cut my teeth there really, and was head of PR for Europe for American Airlines. Then children came along. So and actually I then set up my own company, which was kind of PR and marketing with a friend of mine who worked for the Hong Kong Tourist Association. So I met her when I was at Cathay Pacific. And then we set up our own agency dealing with mainly travel clients. So we dealt with New York State was one of them, Royal Caribbean, gosh, yeah.
Wow.
And then I also did a few local companies where I lived in the Cotswolds. So I did Benson's Apple Juice, which is a juice company, a quarry. So a real variety, actually. And, it was really enjoyable. And then I moved to Australia. So stopped that for a bit. In fact, did some other and got into education actually at a children's hospital school. Then came back 4 years later, got a couple of kind of jobs in schools, and then this marketing one came up at Chandlings, and I thought, oh, I have worked in education, I've worked in marketing PR. Let's marry the two. So, and anyway, 4 years later, still here and still very strong. So really enjoying it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
So tell us about Chandlings. Tell us what's beautiful about the school, why you love working there, what's great about it.
Yeah. So as you said, we're just outside Oxford in glorious Oxfordshire countryside. And I think one of the two key things, I spoke to our admissions director today as well, just to talk about really what does make Chandling special. And one thing is the grounds we have. We're in 60 acres of beautiful land, and you can have 60 acres and just sit in it, but we really use it. So we have lots of outdoor learning activities, and so for example, we've got one of our things really is that learning happens everywhere. It's not just in the classroom. So you'll always see every day children will be out and about. They might be out on a nature walk, they might be at the pond doing pond dipping for science, they might be in the low ropes course in the woods, they might be walking the goats. So we have our own goats, Frank and Fred, now. So it's really great. I mean, it was part of our kind of well-being program originally. This is Tom Richardson.
Hello, Tom. Hi, Tom. Hi, nice to see you.
And it's also kind of it really brings, I suppose, learning to life. So for example, like the goats, they can go and it's really good for their well-being. They can see kind of what happens out there, and they can talk to them and walk them, but also the whole cycle. So whatever's left over for lunch goes to the goats have it, and then whatever the goats leave goes into the vegetable garden where our children go and learn about vegetables. So it's really using the grounds. And linked to that, the other thing I think that makes it special is kind of our well-being and academia kind of go hand in hand, which you wouldn't have thought. Well, academia, quite stressful, well-being, calm, looking after everyone's minds and bodies. But it's something that we really pride ourselves on. And only this week we just had all the results in for the schools. So 100% of all our children all got into their chosen schools. and 27% have got scholarships, so really good.
Amazing.
But in the same week, we're also talking about, we've now got our wellbeing champions. So we've had a wellbeing program going for a while, and then we're just launching it. The children are getting involved, and they've got 24 put their hands up, said, I really want to be part of the Wellbeing Council. So usually we have about 3 or 4, 5 or 6. So 24 put their hands up. So, and they're all so eager. This week they launched a new wellbeing website, so internally, with a new wellbeing logo. And then they all talked about our kind of term topic is my heart. We have different parts of wellbeing, and this is my heart and kindness. So they're talking about how to colour the school with kindness and giving examples. And so I think those two, and when we're having parents coming round, that's what we're really noticing. I think particularly after the lockdown, people, they're wanting space, really have the space and really use it, and they're making sure that their children's mental health is looked after. In all sorts of ways. So being outdoors is really good for your mental health, really good for your well-being, but also they want their children to get into the schools that they want to get into, the selective schools. So it's getting that balance, and I really feel we really do that really well.
Amazing. And there sounds like you've got so much to talk about there, and as you say, it's really interesting. Really interesting to hear that sort of reinvigorated interest in the outdoor and the well-being associated with that, as well as that sort of focus on results as well. And well done on your 100% and the 27% scholarship. That's amazing.
And so particularly this, again, because there were still lockdowns going on, so we had to do a bit of online learning again. So for our staff as well, I mean, actually what makes you unique, it is your staff. It's what, when you leave a school, you remember your teachers, and they are amazing. We were just talking about the International Women's Day, and we've got a female staff all in different, our head of DT is a woman, our head of science is a woman, our head of food tech is a man. So we're very much into diversity, equality throughout staff, and also amongst the pupils too.
Amazing. I mean, it sounds as though you have so much to talk about in your marketing. I'm guessing that can present a challenge in terms of consolidating that and distilling that into key messages, and just knowing the big things to talk about that really are going to resonate with prospective families or even current families. Is that a challenge? How do you manage that, if so?
Yeah, I think with all schools, that is one of the challenges. I mean, schools are, crazy places really, where something is going on all the time. Within different year groups, they're doing a trip, they're doing a different project, they're doing a different topic, and you kind of want to bottle it all up and tell everyone all about it, but of course you can't. So when you come around and you do a tour, those are the times when you can actually tell people all the extra bits. But what we've tried to do, so in a recent, I produced a new prospectus probably about a year ago. It began before lockdown and then kind of ended up. And we were looking at different little strap lines that would kind of demonstrate what we had. So we talked about, and then you could tell the story, which is what, I was talking about in the course that we did with you. It's not just saying we do this, it's, how do we do it? Give an example of what it does, and what someone's child will then experience. So we came up with little strap lines. So learning adventures was one of the things, magic moments, because it's not just, it's lessons in life, it's also soft skills that people are looking at. It's that whole picture you want to paint, not just, yes, we get scholarships, yes, we get, that's really should be, it's almost a given.
Almost a given, yes.
Pretty much. So it's really that those extra soft skills and those extra opportunities that we can give. So, in our marketing, it's throughout events, we really focus on, particular imagery. So that's really key when you're doing your advertising with that, which is more and more digital now. If not all. Pretty much. So it's really, we've got an early as open morning. So, you want to really look at the imagery, I think, to demonstrate all the things. And if I'm really honest, have we come up with our 3 little words to describe us yet? Probably not. So that is something we are
On the
working
list.
on. Actually, it's a project that I've got, in place that's planning. So because I do think, like you said in the course, coming up with just the succinct,
Mm.
three ideas. We were looking at outdoor warriors, we were talking about today, as maybe
Awesome.
something to
Awesome.
paint the picture of what that child, if your child comes here, what would they become? So, but anyway, we're talking about outdoors and resilience and determination, and because that's kind of what our children are. So,
Yeah, great. I love
yeah,
that. And I love that though, to define that, and distill that into those three big messages is on the list, because it is so important, isn't it? And I think important, both from the point of view of communicating your story and who you are, and in a succinct and compelling fashion, but also from the school marketer's point of view, in terms of making life a little bit easier in terms of knowing
yeah,
what to talk about. But that repetition of those three big messages, those three big themes, and evidencing, like you say, evidencing it with stories from around your school, really can build your reputation as a school.
Yeah, and it's hard. And I think, I'm sure all the prep schools, senior schools around there would find it hard, because you want to tell everyone everything. So it's really hard to knuckle down. But I think also key is actually then doing a survey. So part of the plan I'm planning on doing is actually talking to our parents as well, and making sure, and our staff, and making sure that, we really are picking out those key messages, those key words that describe who
Yes.
we really are. I mean, we know, but
Yes.
it's and you've got to get the right adjectives that not everyone else has. I mean, there's the nurture, there's the this, but you want to try and find something different. So
Different. Yeah, absolutely. And do you remember that sweet spot exercise where and I love the fact you've mentioned the survey, because it's so important to gather that wider opinion and that wider input, that the sweet spot exercise being where what the school offers, and that comes from what the staff believe it offers, teaching staff, non-teaching staff, and also what your customers, your parents, believe that you offer, when those two come together, and the sort of the common threads there
And we
between
know,
you.
exactly. We know from having done that the well-being, the outdoors is really, when everyone comes round, it's definitely, that is key. As
Yes.
well as make sure my child gets into the right school. But they want them to be able to go through it, but in a calm, and non-stressful way, because inevitably exams are quite stressful. So you've just been through it, haven't you, with your daughter?
I have, yes, little mini Stickman, yes, and we now have made a decision.
Oh, excellent.
Oh my goodness, and the relief, and we're excited about the decision, and we can now, oh goodness, it seems as though it's been 2 or 3 years of build up to this.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it is, isn't it? So if the school, we really believe can help you along the way, and hopefully your daughter's school did,
Yes.
that, and keep it calm, and keep it in perspective, and that, is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were great, actually. She goes to a girls' prep school, and they've been brilliant at kind of, like you say, just keeping it sort of boxed, and a measured approach to it. So no, thank goodness it's swallowed.
But going back to surveys, like you said, and we also, from the back of the Stickman course, actually, that the last few events we've done, I've then sent a follow-up survey. So just, as the extra, and in fact, we've got a new little idea coming from the thing. It's the follow-up, which was one thing that I really, when I came on the course, there was something I already had done, already knew, so it was kind of reassuring, to do with brand identity and visual identity. But those bits, the extra bits about that kind of marketing activity plan, and following up with various emails. So one is a survey, obviously, to so you can always improve actually what you're doing. And the other idea we've come up, we've got a early years open morning coming up. So we've got, and it's just we're recycling. It's all to do with we had a board that had holes in. So, and in fact, I was talking to our head of early years, and she said, "Oh, I could, draw bunny ears around it, and they can have a little photo with their head through it as a little rabbit because it's Easter themed." And we thought we could take a little photo and then send it on to them. And in fact, they're also we're doing a plant. They're going to be planting a magic bean, so they take that home with them as well. And then they're going to send us photos to keep that kind of that correspondence going.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. You could even ask them to then post that little picture of the bunny picture on your Instagram, for example, and tag you in with a hashtag, and like you say, it builds this
absolutely, which we haven't gone down that route. We've kind of had the interaction back to us, back to send an email of you, because we did a virtual I was saying a virtual interactive early years when we had to do it online, and we sent out parcels in the post, a goodie parcel in the post to everyone who registered. So in that parcel was a little bucket and some compost and little magic beans. So we actually did it online together, and then they sent in photos, in fact, of the bean growing. So we kept that going. So it was a really successful event, that actually, because I think it kept the communication between the two, the two of us. So we haven't done it onto our social media. So that's the next step.
That's the next step. But you're doing so much good stuff there, and so important, because those people that have raised their hand and said we want to come, we're coming to your event, those are the warmest audience, aren't they? So, and I remember you saying when we first started chatting about, you were really keen to fine tune that end of things in terms of what that follow up looked like, and really getting a structure and some procedures around that. So it sounds like you've mixed in some really creative things there as well, which is great.
We're working well. I mean, so admissions, we work really closely, but it's also using, like you said, you can use things you've done before, or kind of rehash things. So, for example, we were doing and this is example of how you can use things again. So we were going in for an award actually for best experiential learning, and it was all to do with our year one, and it was a space blast into space. So they literally arrived in a moon buggy. We changed a golf buggy into a moon buggy. They came in on their what were they on? Little space hoppers, and then we created like a spaceship. So they came in into the dark, and all these lights were on. It was really interactive. Gorgeous. Anyway, I was starting to take pictures, and I was like, this really isn't showing it really well. And then our art teacher came in, she said, do a video. So I said, yeah, you're right. So we did a video, and in fact, put together lots of things to do with the actual day. And then in fact, how it went on, what they learned, and how the whole topic progresses within the classroom. So actually, we then used that video that we were doing for an award to then send out to parents, so they can actually say, this is what would happen. So when they're registering for an open day, we're saying, like, particularly if they're kind of early years reception year, that kind of age, because it was a year one thing. So you're reusing what, takes a long time to do these videos. Gosh.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely applaud you. This is magic, because that it's such hard work to recreate things all the time.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you've thought, right, okay, we have this asset, let's use it for this
different ways.
Audience, but then actually it's going to be really valuable and really interesting to this audience over here as well. So
so I think that's that's one thing I've started to do more and more, from talking to you, actually saying you can, because there are lots of things, testimonials that I've done, and it's then they're on the website, but you really want to get them out, so that it's making sure that you can do it in lots of different ways with people you interact with, and also with then onto your social media. So there's lots of avenues. It's getting a process though, isn't it? So you're not pulling your hair out and going, I've got to get this done.
Yeah, absolutely. I
do that too.
Maybe there'll always be a little bit of that. So just on the course then, and thank you for your lovely feedback. I guess what was the best bit about it for you? What did you enjoy most?
Yeah, I think one of the things I mean, firstly, I found the course, marketing kind of is simple. It's the right message to the right person at the right time. Simple. And I liked the course because it was simple. It was straightforward. You could understand it. It wasn't complicated. If you're coming from something that you hadn't done, a non-marketing background and you're just starting, because that can happen, or one, you know, I had a bit more experience, you could glean lots of different, you know, levels of insight from it. So I think I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed actually the interaction with some of the other people on the course.
Yes.
You know, with marketing, often I think you know, I'm literally on my own, and I think lots of other prep schools are probably similar. It's just one person marketing. So you talk to staff, you get all your messaging, you want to know what's going on, but there's no one really to kind of really bounce ideas off and understand what else is going on and what difficulties there are.
Yes.
And often your area, if you want to, you know, be nice to, but everyone's your competitors. So people are a bit reticent to do that. So it's really nice that we could have that time as well to sort of talk about subjects.
Yes.
It was nice that, you know, it was online, that we could obviously do it from our, you know, from wherever actually, you know, wherever we were at the time. And particular things I picked out, you know, the beginning bit you talked about visual identity, which was reassuring because I had actually done that when I got to Chandlings, because it was just Chandlings and we had a night, but it was the night was a bit complex, I suppose, the actual design. And often people didn't know what Chandlings was. So like, well, what is it? So we, you know, just simple things that you said in your course, visual identity. So I just, you know, added prep Oxford, because our competitors are all prep schools. When people are Googling you, looking up prep schools in Oxfordshire.
Yeah.
You want to come up when they're looking at it, and we weren't. So it's, you know, things like that you mentioned in the course, and I've got it in front of me, you know, just refreshing myself. And the other thing I think was really, where was it? Hang on, I wrote it down here. That I really, obviously the marketing activity plan was, oh, yeah, Aaron, it is a one-man show. One person show, you're right. The other thing I think was, the event marketing plan is really useful. This I haven't done yet because, you know, you know, you want to properly plan it and put together those social media posts, but having something, you know, get rid of your Gantt, the Gantt have to do with them. It's already there. I don't have to create an Excel spreadsheet with it all on. So that I think was invaluable. Really, really great, actually. So,
yes. And I think that's the bit that everyone just seems to say, oh my goodness, it's just a ready-made solution for us. You know, it's kind of day by day what to do on social media, what to do with our, you know, emails.
Yeah. And it got you, I mean, just thinking about, I really liked, you know, the bit about you were saying, kind of, you know, creating that story. It was right at the beginning, actually, your key message framework, and then your, you know, the story and what does that mean?
Yes.
So, for example, we can say we took them up to the low ropes and they went on that. What does that mean? Their resilience, their risk taking, you know, all those things that I was kind of doing, but it just, you know, it's written down there and you're talking about it and you're actually thinking about it. And I think for me, what I want to do is with this is actually go to a you know, meeting with SLT, and then, you know, talk to them and say, okay, these are the messages, you know, and talk to the staff about it. What story can you come up with that displays this message? And, you know, that's what you can do. So working with staff is key.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, that key message framework, you know, just to explain to anyone who's listening, it's essentially you boil down your 3 key messages, what they are. So that's the bit we were just talking about in terms of finding those and doing that from staff input and your customer input, the parent body and pupils probably, and then distilling that down to 3 big messages. And then that table that Rebecca was just describing there is kind of features and benefits. So, you know, those features that fall, you know, within those 3 big messages. What you talk about features, but what benefit does that have? You know, this means that, you know, so you have this feature, talk about this, and then just simply add those words, you know, this means that it's this for the pupils, or it does this for the school, you know, just so that it actually
that picture, isn't it? Yeah, and actually what you're saying there has really helped me with we're just putting together a well-being brochure just to
Mm,
show kind of, what we do at the school. And it's not just saying, "Oh, we do well-being," it's
mm,
very important. It's actually, what do you do? We have a kindness jar in the classroom. What does that mean? So children can put in their kindness things, and it starts to actually resonate throughout the school. So it's actually putting those facts of what you do and
mm,
how that actually makes the children learn. So that was really useful. Also, when you were saying defining your hot lists,
mm.
um, we use ISAMs, and I've
Oh,
been, the years I've been there trying to learn a bit more. And in fact, we really, with our recent early years, because we're now putting better data in, I suppose, we can really then define those lists. So we could
mm,
look at all the inquirers we've had for 2022 in reception, nursery, whatever. You can see where they are in your list. Are they inquiry? Have they visited? Are they registered? So we could then, you're keeping that communication going, like you were saying, it's another invite, and you're making sure that hopefully those warms get to hot, so that was really
yeah.
useful, defining your hot list. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did
Oh,
I?
she knows all the lingo. She knows
Yeah,
it all.
we're just doing it more so. It was, really reassuring, that those bits, but it also just brought it to the forefront, of actually this really is important, and you need to spend time on doing it, because
Yes,
you've got to get to the right people. You do
yes,
not want to waste your
absolutely.
time
Yeah.
going to the wrong people.
Yes, absolutely. Know your numbers, know your
Um,
data. We were talking
yeah,
about this in the masterclass this morning, actually. It's so important because marketing and admissions is increasingly becoming a sales role. And so, knowing your current
marketing.
numbers, forecasts, and,
Yeah.
no, people don't like that word sales, but it's the truth of it, really, isn't it? Schools are businesses at the end of the day.
Totally.
And
I mean, I always joke to the head. I said, it's sales and marketing. Where my job is kind of bringing people up the drive, getting them in, and
yeah,
then it is over to sales. It's then the conversions, and really trying to show them exactly, what they're buying into, really, because it's hugely emotive. I mean,
mm,
going to school. I saw your
the
post about,
parents buy with their hearts. Yes, yeah,
it's like, and I often think, they come up, and you do get a feeling about a school, I think. Um,
yes,
so hence the marketeer's job, our job is to get them to that, and so they can get that feeling is
agree.
hugely important.
Mm,
Because it is really emotive. So you do want, hence the visuals, you want to touch people's heartstrings,
you
don't you?
absolutely do. And, in terms of the financial investment, it's kind of one of the big three, isn't it? House, and
Yeah,
car and education. And, but, that's just the sort of,
yeah,
transaction end of it. Whereas, like you say, it's just, parents are entrusting you with, their most precious belonging in the
yeah,
world. So,
yeah.
yeah,
And
huge.
and and we, absolutely, and we know that, and so that's what you want to kind of get across as well. That can be got across on the tour and meeting the head, but you want, going back to your kind of, what was it you had? Try, test, trust, your trust, that whole trust thing.
No,
I
like
think you had
trust.
no, like, trust, is
Yeah.
that you want people to get to trust that you will look after their child, and they will become the person that they want to be, and whoever they want to be. So it's getting all
Yes,
those processes. And
yes,
that was
yes.
really useful in the course as well, as, they know you now, they
Mm,
like you, they're coming to see you, and now they've got to trust that you will look after their child. And, you know,
yes.
and
Yeah.
that's what, is so important.
Yeah, it really is. And the marketeers that sometimes just leap to that, oh, come and see us, come and have a look, or come and you'd have to build that know, like, trust factor, and sort
Yeah.
of just, drop those little
Yeah.
seeds so that it builds
It's
that
actually,
core.
yeah, it's very interesting, because we were just going through our, just when we were doing our inquiry, our recent mail out. And there was one child that we actually had as withdrawn. We hadn't heard from them, and it really had gone. But I just thought, well, he had inquired, he is the right thing. So we'll just go back. Because we had kind of kept in touch, but they hadn't come back.
Mm,
Anyway, coming to the open morning, very keen. So it just
mm,
shows you can't, and particularly I think we have nursery, so people will come when they're one, but they won't be coming to the school for 2 years or 3 years. I mean, so you have to, that's what's hard, I think, with the marketing, is to keep that going without being too intrusive.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
getting the balance of the emails, of, you know, that's where social media helps, because if they have liked you and they have followed you, they can then see what's going on.
Yes, yes, definitely. And
Getting that,
occasionally just simple things like even tagging them in to posts, you know, it isn't sort of you know, a number of you know, names on that post. It's just a really simple way of just highlighting your school to them again every now and then.
yeah. It's a balancing act, isn't it? But it's
Yes, yeah,
but it's
yeah.
fun. It's a challenge.
Oh, so it's just reminded me again how gorgeous it was having you on the course, because
You're very kind.
Rebecca on the course, she was full of ideas, contributing all the time, asking loads of questions, great questions, and really, you know, soaking it all in and being the best student, because you know, you've just got such
You're very
specific
kind.
aspects of the course, and honestly, it's just a joy to chat with you again. So thank you so much for your time tonight.
It's a pleasure. We could go on forever.
We could. I don't want to cut it off. So Rebecca, if someone is watching and they would like to contact you about Chandlings or personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, they can go through my LinkedIn, so that's under Rebecca Siriwardene. They can do that, or obviously they can come through via the school. That would be office@chandlingspst.org. No one will remember that, but you know, just Google Chandlings and it will come up. So either way will be fine. Yeah, absolutely. Would love to hear from you.
Oh, brilliant. Yes, absolutely. Sounds a wonderful school, and it sounds like you're doing a wonderful job with the marketing as well, or continuing to do so.
Try my best.
So yeah, it's a real joy to chat with you. And if anyone is listening and they would like to inquire about the course, or even maybe speak to Rebecca, if you don't want to talk to us, maybe you want to talk to Rebecca.
I'd be more than happy to.
Rebecca?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you. So yes, just drop me an email. You can drop me a personal email, or Charlotte's popped the link there that you can book a call with us and just have a no obligation chat with us about the course, if it's something that you're interested in. So my email is emily@the Charlotte and I have been working together so long now, she almost preempts what I'm going to say, and she put that banner up there then before I'd even announced I was going to say my email address. Thank you, Charlotte. Amazing. So yes, thank you so much, Rebecca. Really just a joy to talk to you again, and thank you so much for your feedback on the course. It's really lovely to hear that.
Well, it was really, really insightful, beneficial, and thoroughly enjoyable. So I would recommend it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a nice rest of your evening, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.